I'm of the thought that you don't have to be an expert in everything, but you should be an expert in you. You should be an expert in your body. You should be an expert in your mind, your experiences. You should know what's happening instead of sitting back and eating popcorn and just watching how it's going to unfold. You should be intimately familiar with yourself as a character in your life, including how that plays out on the mat. Both mats, all mats. We're going to go upside down now.
What we're doing has value in people's lives. Pressure is what makes people better.
In that case, let's have some fun.
It's going to be a great year for everybody. Everybody who wants it to be.
Do you want to know the best yoga book I ever read? Yes. The Inner Game of Tennis. What? The Inner Game of Tennis. Yeah. Fabulous book. I highly recommend it. And basically this tennis coach, I wish I could remember his name, was saying, look, learning tennis, it's a fantastic jiu-jitsu book as well. Learning tennis isn't beating yourself up to make the right stroke time after time after time after time. It's learning how to get out of your own way so that you can get into the groove and do what you already know how to do, which is have fun. That's my synopsis of that book. Cliff notes. So same sort of thing. When you start to make these actions, your brain goes, okay, she told me to do this, this, and this, and I'll be damned if I'm not going to do this, this, and this exactly the way she said to do it. Don't do that. Instead, I'm telling you, bring your arms up. It's tricky. Now, as you breathe into those back ribs, you have an experience there on that blanket, and I'm asking you to see, can you find that same smoothness, that same stability, that same sense of peace that you had when you were laying down, even though you're now doing this really difficult action. Make sense? Let's do it. Straighten your arm, and now open those back ribs up. The ultimate practice of abhyasa vairagya. Can you double down on the necessary actions, and can you let go and stop doing the unnecessary actions?
First Life Church.
I'll tell Levi you said that. There's new and there's difficult. So there's unfamiliar and there's difficult. And then there's familiar and there's easy, right? So be really clear. Are you looking for something to be more familiar, or are you looking for something to be easier?
Both.
Both.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Both. Yeah, why not? That work will become more familiar. I don't think it's ever going to get easier. And it's in that challenge, because the minute it starts to get easier, you'll work harder. Because that's the nature of how we are as humans, right? And so then you'll work harder, and then it's back to that level of difficulty. So if we can accept the level of difficulty in these postures as familiar and welcome, then we'll start to progressively get stronger. And so rather than familiarizing yourself with, or rather, let me rephrase that. Rather than looking for it to be easier, I want you to look for it to be more familiar, because the work should always be there. If it's not a challenge, then it's not making you stronger. It's why, you know, lifting weights or anything we do, right? You set a goal, you reach the goal, and then you set another goal, and you reach the next goal, and you set another goal. Instead of being looking for some stage of being where we would just be satisfied, we should just familiarize ourselves and accept the fact that we will always be looking for something bigger and better, because it's not that we want to achieve that, it's that it's the journey, it's the work. Does that make sense? Okay. So sorry, Cindy, it's not going to get any easier. You'll just get stronger. This is fun.
It's just challenging.
Yes, for sure, challenging. But you can start to feel where the demand is.
It's becoming familiar.
There you go. But you can see where the challenge is, right? You go, shit, I wish I had some muscles there. That would help me a little bit more. Or, hey, I got it. Oh, I got it again. And those muscles are like, nope, we're done. That, that's, for me, that's why it's fun. What's there to explore? What's there to discover? What's there to strengthen? What's there, what sneaky parts of my body are trying to do the work so that the parts of my body that really need the work don't have to. Yeah, how big can you make the focus? How narrow can you make the focus? Can you become a subject matter expert in just this action?
I think it's just teaching me how I compensate for what I lack. Makes sense.
Yeah, and I'm of the thought that you don't have to be an expert in everything, but you should be an expert in you. You should be an expert in your body. You should be an expert in your mind, your experiences. You should know what's happening instead of sitting back and eating popcorn and just watching how it's going to unfold. You should be intimately familiar with yourself as a character in your life, including how that plays out on the mat. Both mats, all mats. We're going to go upside down now. Okay.
Nice. That was awesome.
Now look, I'm going to say something very controversial. Do you see how dangerous that was for her to have that blanket there? Yeah, I blocked her blanket, and just because I didn't actually want to see her face plant, and there was a lot going on. You have to be careful about when you choose to put danger in your practice, but putting danger into your practice sometimes will force you to pay more attention, right? When you
had her be there. If you end up in there with the blankets,
no. And let me tell you, the worst case scenario is that she would have fallen her face to the floor and she would have had a bloody nose. She might have chopped her tooth, but as they say in Iceland, my friend Salome, burnt baby avoids fire. Okay? There's an element of, if we're always protecting ourselves from the what ifs all the time, do we ever really get to experience the fullness of life, A? And do we ever really understand the whys? And maybe we're actually powerful enough and strong enough and smart enough to have prevented those potential dangers. But we won't know until we actually put ourselves into those positions, right? You build confidence and you build strength and you build an understanding of how and what your capabilities are when you put yourself out there. So the situation is such that I don't think anything terrible is going to happen. Okay, aside from a bloody nose and a chipped tooth, the worst thing would be she would have fear now of going up. Those are my favorite parts of being a coach because now I have something to help coach you through, right? We can't expand our horizons if we don't at least get to the edge of where we are now. We're looking for a sense of peace, a sense of quietness, a sense of confidence, a sense of being in the right place at the right time for the right reasons. That's yoga. Before I came into this workshop today, I received a couple of phone calls from my family that my cousin, who has been in the last stages of cancer, is probably within her last few hours. And I was going to tell you this without crying, but it's all right. When I saw her a few months ago, hold on, I gotta get my shit together, because this is important. When I saw her a few months ago, I said, "Are you afraid?" And she said, "No, I'm not afraid of dying." She said, "I'm just mad because I'm not done yet." Now look, I didn't want for this to end on such a sad note, and I'm not sad. Obviously, I miss her already. But we have work to do. And a lot of that work isn't about what's out here. A lot of that work is about what's in here. And a lot of that work has to do with what's between us. The work that she told me that she was not yet done with had to do with raising her boys. She has 14-year-old twin boys. And it wasn't necessarily about teaching them to make their beds and how to be responsible, because she's done a fantastic job of that already. It was about how to have a relationship, how to hold a job, how to lift weights properly. She bought them weights for Christmas, and she asked me to please, with my kids, film some videos so that they would know the proper way, because she said, you know how teenage boys are. She's convinced that they'll hurt themselves. When I came home, I kind of made that list for myself. What are all the things that I'm not done with yet? The biggest thing that I'm not done with yet is not only my own exploration of what's inside, but also sharing with you all in this room, in this space, what there is for you to explore. It's not about doing it right. It's not about doing it perfectly. It's about doing you. So, thank you all for being here, and thank you for continuing your own journeys and your own lives, and let it only be full of love. Namaste. There's more work to do, and it's up to us to do it.